Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of all legitimate government upon earth. Those who take oaths to politically powerful secret societies cannot be depended on for loyalty to a democratic republic. Always vote for principle, though you may vote alone, and you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost. I have to study politics and war so that my sons can study mathematics, commerce, and agriculture, so their sons can study poetry, painting, and music. The highest glory of the American Revolution was this: it connected in one indissoluble bond the principles of civil government with the principles of Christianity. The Sermon on the Mount commands me to lay up for myself treasures, not upon earth, but in heaven. My hopes of a future life are all founded upon the gospel of Christ. We have no government armed with power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Find a mission that you can give yourself over to, and then spend your days moving that mission forward. Man is made so that when anything fires his soul, the impossibilities vanish. The influence of each human being on others in this life is a kind of immortality. Whenever vanity and gaiety, a love of pomp and dress, furniture, equipage, buildings, great company, expensive diversions, and elegant entertainments get the better of the principles and judgments of men and women, there is no knowing where they will stop, nor into what evils, natural, moral, or political, they will lead us. I speak as a man of the world to men of the world, and I say to you, search the Scriptures. The Bible is the book of all others, to be read at all ages and in all conditions of human life, not to be read once or twice or thrice through and then laid aside, but to be read in small portions of 1 or 2 chapters every day, and never to be intermitted, unless by some overruling necessity. America does not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. She is the well-wisher to the freedom and independence of all. She well knows that by enlisting under other banners than her own, were they even the banners of foreign independence, she would involve herself beyond the power of extrication in all the wars of interest and intrigue, of individual avarice, envy, and ambition, which assume the colors and usurp the standards of freedom. There are 3 points of doctrine, the belief of which forms the foundation of all morality. The first is the existence of God, the second is the immortality of the human soul, and the third is a future state of rewards and punishments. Suppose it possible for a man to disbelieve either of these 3 articles of faith, and that man will have no conscience. He will have no other law than that of the tiger or the shark. The laws of man may bind him in chains or may put him to death, but they never can make him wise, virtuous, or happy. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty, the best of all, is God with us. Nothing short of God can satisfy your soul. Do no harm, do good, stay in love with God. Let your words be the genuine picture of your heart. Get on fire for God, and men will come and see you burn. Proceed with much prayer, and your way will be made plain. What one generation tolerates, the next generation will embrace. We should be rigorous in judging ourselves and gracious in judging others. The church changes the world not by making converts, but by making disciples. People who wish to be offended will always find some occasion for taking offense. Whosoever will reign with Christ in heaven must have Christ reigning in him on earth. In all cases, the church is to be judged by the Scripture, not the Scripture by the church. Reading Christians are growing Christians. When Christians cease to read, they cease to grow. Not how much of my money will I give to God, but how much of God's money will I keep for myself? Let me do all the good I can, to all the people I can, as often as I can, for I shall not pass this way again. I want the whole Christ for my Savior, the whole Bible for my book, the whole church for my fellowship, and the whole world for my mission field. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. Give me 100 preachers who fear nothing but sin and desire nothing but God, and I care not whether they be clergymen or laymen. They alone will shake the gates of hell and set up the kingdom of heaven upon earth. Though we cannot think alike, may we not love alike. May we not be of one heart, though we are not of one opinion. Without all doubt we may. Herein all the children of God may unite, notwithstanding these smaller differences. I have never known more than 15 minutes of anxiety or fear. Whenever I feel fearful emotions overtaking me, I just close my eyes and thank God that He is still on the throne reigning over everything, and I take comfort in His control over the affairs of my life. I am not afraid that the people called Methodists should ever cease to exist either in Europe or America, but I am afraid lest they should only exist as a dead sect, having the form of religion without the power. And this undoubtedly will be the case unless they hold fast both the doctrine, spirit, and discipline with which they first set out. You have nothing to do but to save souls. Therefore spend and be spent in this work, and go not only to those that need you, but to those that need you most. It is not your business to preach so many times and to take care of this or that society, but to save as many souls as you can, to bring as many sinners as you possibly can to repentance. Do you not know that God entrusted you with that money, all above what buys necessities for your families, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to help the stranger, the widow, the fatherless, and indeed, as far as it will go, to relieve the wants of all mankind? How can you, how dare you defraud the Lord by applying it to any other purpose? Lord, I am no longer my own, but yours. Put me to what you will, rank me with whom you will. Let be employed by you or laid aside for you, exalted for you or brought low by you. Let me have all things, let me have nothing. I freely and heartily yield all things to your pleasure and disposal. And now, O glorious and blessed God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you are mine and I am yours. So be it. Amen. Condemn no man for not thinking as you think. Let every one enjoy the full and free liberty of thinking for himself. Let every man use his own judgment, since every man must give an account of himself to God. Abhor every approach in any kind or degree to the spirit of persecution. If you cannot reason nor persuade a man into the truth, never attempt to force a man into it. If love will not compel him to come, leave him to God, the judge of all. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied, and so profound. The wise warrior avoids the battle. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. Know yourself and you will win all battles. Who wishes to fight must first count the cost. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination, they produce more hues than can ever been seen. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. One he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes, yet combinations of. Even the finest sword plunged into salt water will eventually rust. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 4. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. So in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. If you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. When the enemy is relaxed, make them toil. When full, starve them. When settled, make them move. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. Be extremely subtle even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes: sour, acrid, salt, sweet, bitter. Yet combinations of them yield more flavors than can ever be tasted. The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence it is a subject of inquiry which can on no account be neglected. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and confirms their projections. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. If your enemy is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. If sovereign and subject are in accord, put division between them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of all. Wisdom begins in wonder. Understanding a question is half an answer. If you want to be wrong, then follow the masses. Awareness of ignorance is the beginning of wisdom. Lies are the greatest murder, they kill the truth. In every person there is a sun, just let them shine. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. It is better to suffer an injustice than to commit one. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is a habit. Be the kind of person that you want people to think you are. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. I don't care what people say about me. I do care about my mistakes. There is no possession more valuable than a good and faithful friend. I am a fool, but I know I'm a fool, and that makes me smarter than you. Prefer knowledge to wealth, for the one is transitory, the other perpetual. Sometimes you have to let go to see if there was anything worth holding on to. Falling down is not a failure. Failure comes when you stay where you have fallen. Socrates quote, "Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep." I call myself a peaceful warrior, because the battles we fight are on the inside. Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her will. Do not go through life like leaf blown, from here to there believing whatever you are told. Socrates quote, "Falling down is not a failure. Failure comes when you stay where you have." He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. The real artist, who knew what he was imitating, would be interested in realities and not in imitations, and would desire to leave as memorials of himself works many and fair. And instead of being the author of encomiums, he would prefer to be the theme of them. Most people, including ourselves, live in a world of relative ignorance. We are even comfortable with that ignorance because it is all we know. When we first start facing truth, the process may be frightening, and many people run back to their old lives. But if you continue to seek truth, you will eventually be able to handle it better. In fact, you want more. It's true that many people around you now may think you are weird or even a danger to society, but you don't care. Once you've tasted the truth, you won't ever want to go back to being ignorant. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is, how will I ever get out of this labyrinth? The art of winning is learned in defeat. Unity, 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 or anarchy will devour you. There is but one step from the heroic to the ridiculous. All who have served the revolution have plowed the sea. The first duty of a government is to give education to the people. Beware the nation in which one man rules, for it is a nation of slaves. To achieve victory, it has always been essential to walk the path of sacrifice. They, the masters of the world, dominate us more through ignorance than through force. First, our native soil, above all else. Our lives are nothing more than the legacy of our country. Slavery is the daughter of darkness. An ignorant people is a blind instrument of its own destruction. The United States appear to be destined by Providence to plague America with misery in the name of liberty. The real discoverer of South America was Alexander von Humboldt, since his work was more useful for our people than the work of all conquerors. A great volcano lies at our feet. Who shall restrain the oppressed classes? The yoke of slavery will break. Each shade of complexion will seek mastery. A state too expensive in itself, or by virtue of its dependencies, ultimately falls into decay. Its free government is transformed into a tyranny. It disregards the principles which it should preserve, and finally degenerates into despotism. It is quite possible that New Granada will not agree to recognize a central government, for it is fiercely committed to federalism. It will then form a state of its own which, should it endure, could become highly prosperous thanks to its vast resources of every kind. As for heroic and unfortunate Venezuela, the events there have unfolded so rapidly, and the devastation has been so severe, that the country has been reduced to a state of utter destitution and appalling desolation, despite having once been one of the most beautiful lands that were the pride of the Americas. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness, a lie among the stars, is a comfortable lie. There are no tyrants if there are no slaves. Then you have probably forgotten all about it. To be happy does not mean to indulge in foolishness. Dying people don't need medicine, the ones who remain do. The example could encourage others who only fear to start. I have to believe much in God because I have lost my faith in man. How long have you been away from the country? Larouja asked Ibarra. Cowardice, rightly understood, begins with selfishness and ends with shame. Why independence, if the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow? It is not the criminals who arouse the hatred of others, but the men who are honest. He who does not know how to look back at where he came from will never get to his destination. Quite the contrary. Even if my country does seem to have forgotten me, I have always thought about it. One only dies once, and if one does not die well, a good opportunity is lost and will not present itself again. Tomorrow at 7, I shall be shot, but I am innocent of the crime of rebellion. I am going to die with a tranquil conscience. I don't see why I should bow my head when I could hold it high, or place it in the hands of my enemies when I can defeat them. For myself, I think that one wrong does not right the other, and forgiveness cannot be won with useless tears or alms to the church. I honor the Father in his Son, not the Son in his Father. Each one receives a reward or punishment for his deeds, but not for the acts of others. I die without seeing dawn's light shining on my country. You, who will see it, welcome it for me. Don't forget those who fell during the night time. Let us not ask for miracles. Let us not ask for concern with what is good for the country of him who comes as a stranger to make his fortune and leave afterwards. The people do not complain because they have no voice, do not move because they are lethargic, and you say that they do not suffer because you have not seen their hearts bleed. Your enemies hate you more than they hate your ideas. Should you want a project to be undone, propose it. Even if it were as useful as a bishop's mire, it would be rejected. Once you are defeated, let the humblest looking among you sponsor it, and your enemies to humble you will approve it. Our liberty will not be secured at the sword's point. We must secure it by making ourselves worthy of it. And when the people reaches that height, God will provide a weapon, the idols will be shattered, tyranny will crumble like a house of cards, and liberty will shine out like the first dawn. I can concede that the government has no knowledge of the people, but I believe the people know less of the government. There are useless officials, evil if you like, but there are also good ones, and these are not able to accomplish anything because they encounter an inert mass, the population that takes little part in matters that concern them. Our young people think about nothing more than love affairs and pleasure. They spend more time attempting to seduce and dishonor young women than in thinking about their country's welfare. Our women, in order to take care of the house and family of God, forget their own. Our men limit their activities to vice and their heroics to shameful acts. Children wake up in a fog of routine. Adolescents live out their best years without ideals, and their elders are sterile, and only serve to corrupt our young people by their example. What said those two souls communicating through the language of the eyes, more perfect than that of the lips, the language given to the soul in order that sound may not mar the ecstasy of feeling? In such moments, when the thoughts of two happy beings penetrate into each other's souls through the eyes, the spoken word is halting, rude, and weak. It is as the harsh, slow roar of the thunder compared with the rapidity of the dazzling lightning flash, expressing feelings already recognized, ideas already understood, and if words are made use of, it is only because the heart's desire, dominating all the being and flooding it with happiness, wills that the whole human organism with all its physical and psychical powers give expression to the song of joy that rolls through the soul, to the questioning glance of love as it flashes out and then conceals itself. Speech has no reply. The smile, the kiss, the sigh answer. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual. The earth laughs in flowers. Always do what you are afraid to do. Life is a journey, not a destination. It is not the length of life, but the depth. When it is dark enough, you can see the stars. Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Live in the sunshine, swim the sea, drink the wild air. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. Make the most of yourself, for that is all there is of you. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. All I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not seen. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. It is one of the blessings of old friends that you can afford to be stupid with them. Dare to live the life you have dreamed for yourself. Go forward and make your dreams come true. I cannot remember the books I've read any more than the meals I have eaten. Even so, they have made me. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Without ambition one starts nothing. Without work one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you, you have to win it. Make your own Bible. Select and collect all the words and sentences that in all your readings have been to you like the blast of a trumpet. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who, in the midst of the crowd, keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. Cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you, and to give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. Is it so bad, then, to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. The glory of friendship is not the outstretched hand, not the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is the spiritual inspiration that comes to one when you discover that someone else believes in you and is willing to trust you with a friendship. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. Whatever you do, you need courage. Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires some of the same courage that a soldier needs. Peace has its victories, but it takes brave men and women to win them. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of all legitimate government upon earth. Love is a serious mental disease. There is truth in wine and children. Courage is knowing what not to fear. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Those who tell the stories rule society. You should not honor men more than truth. Ignorance, the root and stem of every evil. The measure of a man is what he does with power. I'm trying to think, don't confuse me with facts. The beginning is the most important part of the work. The madness of love is the greatest of heaven's blessings. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. When men speak ill of thee, live so as nobody may believe them. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. If women are expected to do the same work as men, we must teach them the same things. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. One of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Every heart sings a song incomplete until another heart whispers back. Those who wish to sing always find a song. At the touch of a lover, everyone becomes a poet. In politics, we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a city or a state. When we are ill, we do not ask for the handsomest physician or the most eloquent one. Do not train a child to learn by force or harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their minds, so that you may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bent of the genius of each. According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. And when one of them meets the other half, the actual half of himself, whether he be a lover of youth or a lover of another sort, the pair are lost in an amazement of love and friendship and intimacy, and one will not be out of the other's sight, as I may say, even for a moment. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source. Don't waste your youth growing up. Everything you can imagine is real. Action is the foundational key to all success. Music and art are the guiding lights of the world. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. Computers are useless. All they can give you are answers. If I knew what the meaning of art was, I wouldn't tell you. Art is not truth. Art is the lie which makes us see the truth. Go and do the things you can't. That is how you get to do them. Learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. If you know exactly what you're going to do, what's the good in doing? What one does is what counts, not what one had the intention of doing. A plagiarist steals from one person. A true artist steals from everybody. Only put off until tomorrow which you are willing to die having left undone. Why do you try to understand art? Do you try to understand the song of a bird? I am always doing that which I cannot do, in order that I may learn how to do it. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. When I was a kid, I drew like Michelangelo. It took me years to learn to draw like a kid. The first half of life is learning to be an adult. The second half is learning to be a child. If I paint a wild horse, you might not see the horse, but surely you will see the wildness. There is only one way to see things, until someone shows us how to look at them with different eyes. I've reached the moment where the movement of my thought interests me more than the thought itself. The fingerprints of the God who amused himself fashioning them, I can see them on any bone whatsoever. Forcing yourself to use restricted means is the sort of restraint that liberates invention. It obliges you to make a kind of progress that you can't even imagine in advance. What does it mean for a painter to paint in the manner of so-and-so or to actually imitate someone else? What's wrong with that? On the contrary, it's a good idea. You should constantly try to paint like someone else. But the thing is, you can't. You would like to. You try. But it turns out to be a botch. And it's at the very moment you make a botch of it that you're yourself. Duty is ours. Results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. We've had some tough times, but we've hung in there. I'm a very private person that prefers a low profile. Any crusade requires optimism and the ambition to aim high. I enjoy creating new ideas, working on new creative projects. Sometimes it's very difficult to find fresh fruit on the road. What is the best advice, business or otherwise, you've had and from whom? The only regrets I have are rather prosaic, like I wish I went for a swim in the Pacific. The possible is constantly being redefined, and I care deeply about helping humanity move forward. Even before I helped to co-found Microsoft, I saw a connected future. I called that future the wired world. You look at things you enjoy in your life, but much more important is what you can do to make the world a better place. In a company where tech decisions were still ultra-centralized, the repercussions of a distracted CEO had to be damaging. As a species, we've always been discoverers and adventurers, and space and the deep ocean are some of the last frontiers. Technology is notorious for engrossing people so much that they don't always focus on balance and enjoy life at the same time. What should exist? To me, that's the most exciting question imaginable. What do we need that we don't have? How can we realize our potential? In my own work, I've tried to anticipate what's coming over the horizon, to hasten its arrival, and to apply it to people's lives in a meaningful way. In global warming, I think everyone is scratching their heads. Are there technological things that can be brought to bear that can make a difference? The best museums and museum exhibits about science or technology give you the feeling that, hey, this is interesting, but maybe I could do something here too. You've got to enjoy time with your family and friends, and if you're involved in sports franchises, those peak moments in playoff games, you have to enjoy life. I think it's going to be great if people can buy a ticket to fly up and see black sky and the stars. I'd like to do it myself, but probably after it has flown a serious number of times first. For the most part, the best opportunities now lie where your competitors have yet to establish themselves, not where they're already entrenched. Microsoft is struggling to adapt to that new reality. In the first 8 or so years at Microsoft, we were always chained to our terminals, and after I got sick the first time, I decided that I was going to be more adventurous and explore more of the world. I am very excited to be supporting one of the world's most visionary efforts to seek basic answers to some of the fundamental questions about our universe and what other civilizations may exist elsewhere. That would be such a life-changing thing, for us all to know that there are other beings out there who we could potentially communicate with. Or maybe we are listening to a signal that they transmitted hundreds of millennia ago. In the computer industry, you've got an interdisciplinary team of people who can come together, attack the problem, and work in a collaborative style. You knock down one problem after another, cobble things together, and then hopefully turn the crank at some point. I grew up around books. When I first held the book and it was a substantive, tangible thing, and I thought of all the work that went into it, not just my work but everybody else's and the research and so forth, there's a sense of really have done something worthwhile. The best advice I've received came many years ago from my father. He told me that you should love whatever work you do. You should try to find something you truly enjoy. And I've been lucky through the years that the work I've been involved with has been challenging and for the most part, fun. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. The beginning is always today. Virtue can only flourish among equals. When we feel deeply, we reason profoundly. Life cannot be seen by an unmoved spectator. Judicious books enlarge the mind and improve the heart. It is justice, not charity, that is wanting in the world. I do not wish women to have power over men, but over themselves. Women do not want power over men, they want power over themselves. The mind will ever be unstable, that has only prejudices to rest on. Let woman share the rights, and she will emulate the virtues of man. Strengthen the female mind by enlarging it, and there will be an end. When poverty is more disgraceful than even vice, is not morality cut to the quick? Strengthen the female mind by enlarging it, and there will be an end to blind obedience. Only that education deserves emphatically to be termed cultivation of the mind which. No man chooses evil because it's evil. He only mistakes it for happiness, the good he seeks. Men, in general, seem to employ their reason to justify prejudices, rather than to root them out. The more equality there is established among men, the more virtue and happiness will reign in society. Men and women must be educated, in a great degree, by the opinions and manners of the society they live in. Let woman share the rights, and she will emulate the virtues of man, for she must grow more perfect when emancipated. Only that education deserves emphatically to be termed cultivation of the mind, which teaches young people how to begin to think. Friendship is a serious affection, the most sublime of all affections, because it is founded on principle and cemented by time. Taught from infancy that beauty is woman's scepter, the mind shapes itself to the body, and roaming round its gilt cage, only seeks to adorn its prison. If we revert to history, we shall find that the women who have distinguished themselves have neither been the most beautiful nor the most gentle of their sex. The mind will ever be unstable that has only prejudices to rest on, and the current will run with destructive fury when there are no barriers to break its force. Women are systematically degraded by receiving the trivial attentions which men think it manly to pay to the sex, when, in fact, men are insultingly supporting their own superiority. Independence I have long considered as the grand blessing of life, the basis of every virtue, and independence I will ever secure by contracting my wants, though I were to live on a barren heath. People thinking for themselves have more energy in their voice than any government which it is possible for human wisdom to invent, and every government not aware of this sacred truth will, at some period, be suddenly overturned. Love from its very nature must be transitory. To seek for a secret that would render it constant would be as wild a search as for the philosopher's stone or the grand panacea, and the discovery would be equally useless, or rather pernicious to mankind. The most holy band of society is friendship. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of. God has no religion. I shall fear only God. Hate the sin, love the sinner. Your words become your actions. Your thoughts become your words. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Your beliefs become your thoughts. I shall not fear anyone on earth. Where there is love, there is life. I shall not bear ill will toward anyone. The future depends on what you do today. Nobody can hurt me without my permission. I shall not submit to injustice from anyone. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. An eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind. To believe in something and not to live it is dishonest. I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks he becomes. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Let the first act of every morning be to make the following resolve for the day. Freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. The day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. Each night when I go to sleep, I die, and the next morning when I wake up, I am reborn. I like your Christ, I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ. I shall conquer untruth by truth, and in resisting untruth I shall put up with all suffering. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. To give pleasure to a single heart by a single act is better than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. There are people in the world so hungry that God cannot appear to them except in the form of bread. You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is like an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty. It is unwise to be too sure of one's own wisdom. It is healthy to be reminded that the strongest might weaken and the wisest might err. Prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul. It is daily admission of one's weakness. It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart. What difference does it make to the dead, the orphans and the homeless, whether the mad destruction is wrought under the name of totalitarianism or in the holy name of liberty or democracy? When I despair, I remember that all through history the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Think of it always. Man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If I keep on saying to myself that I cannot do a certain thing, it is possible that I may end by really becoming incapable of doing it. On the contrary, if I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capacity to do it even if I may not have it at the beginning. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of all legit. Forget this world and all its troubles, and if possible, its multitudinous charlatans, everything in short. But if you can't give me poetry, can't you give me poetical science? The more I study, the more insatiable do I feel my genius for it to be. That brain of mine is something more than merely mortal, as time will show. Understand well as I may, my comprehension can only be an infinitesimal fraction of all I want to understand. The analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. The intellectual, the moral, the religious seem to me all naturally bound up and interlinked together in one great and harmonious whole. One essential object is to choose that arrangement which shall tend to reduce to a minimum the time necessary for completing the calculation. The analytical engine is an embodying of the science of operations, constructed with peculiar reference to abstract number as the subject of those operations. Thus not only the mental and the material, but the theoretical and the practical in the mathematical world are brought into more intimate and effective connection with each other. The analytical engine, on the contrary, can either add, subtract, multiply, or divide with equal facility, and performs each of these four operations in a direct manner, without the aid of any of the other three. The object of the engine is in fact to give the utmost practical efficiency to the resources of numerical interpretations of the higher science of analysis, while it uses the processes and combinations of this latter. In enabling mechanism to combine together general symbols in successions of unlimited variety and extent, a uniting link is established between the operations of matter and the abstract mental processes of the most abstract branch of mathematical science. It may be desirable to explain that by the word operation, we mean any process which alters the mutual relation of two or more things, be this relation of what kind it may. This is the most general definition, and would include all subjects in the universe. It is, however, pretty evident, on general principles, that in devising for mathematical truths a new form in which to record and throw themselves out for actual use, views are likely to be induced, which should again react on the more theoretical phase of the subject. But the science of operations, as derived from mathematics more especially, is a science of itself, and has its own abstract truth and value, just as logic has its own peculiar truth and value, independently of the subjects to which we may apply its reasonings and processes. A new, a vast, and a powerful language is developed for the future use of analysis, in which to wield its truths so that these may become of more speedy and accurate practical application for the purposes of mankind than the means hitherto in our possession have rendered possible. In considering any new subject, there is frequently a tendency, first, to overrate what we find to be already interesting or remarkable, and secondly, by a sort of natural reaction, to undervalue the true state of the case, when we do discover that our notions have surpassed those that were really tenable. The analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. It can follow analysis, but it has no power of anticipating any analytical relations or truths. Its province is to assist us to making available what we are already acquainted with. I never am really satisfied that I understand anything, because, understand it well as I may, my comprehension can only be an infinitesimal fraction of all I want to understand about the many connections and relations which occur to me, how the matter in question was first thought of or arrived at, etc., etc. We might even invent laws for series or formula in an arbitrary manner, and set the engine to work upon them, and thus deduce numerical results which we might not otherwise have thought of obtaining. But this would hardly perhaps in any instance be productive of any great practical utility, or calculated to rank higher than as a philosophical amusement. In almost every computation, a great variety of arrangements for the succession of the processes is possible, and various considerations must influence the selections amongst them for the purposes of a calculating engine. One essential object is to choose that arrangement which shall tend to reduce to a minimum the time necessary for completing the calculation. Imagination is the discovering faculty preeminently. It is that which feels and discovers what is, the real which we see not, which exists not for our senses. Mathematical science shows what is. It is the language of unseen relations between things. Imagination too shows what is. Hence she is, or should be especially cultivated by the truly scientific, those who wish to enter into the worlds around us. Many persons who are not conversant with mathematical studies imagine that because the business of Babbage's analytical engine is to give its results in numerical notation, the nature of its processes must consequently be arithmetical and numerical, rather than algebraical and analytical. This is an error. The engine can arrange and combine its numerical quantities exactly as if they were letters or any other general symbols, and in fact, it might bring out its results in algebraical notation, were provisions made accordingly. The analytical engine might act upon other things besides number, were objects found whose mutual fundamental relations could be expressed by those of the abstract science of operations, and which should be also susceptible of adaptations to the action of the operating notation and mechanism of the engine. Supposing, for instance, that the fundamental relations of pitched sounds in the science of harmony and of musical composition were susceptible of such expression and adaptations, the engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity or extent. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied. There is the music of heaven in all things. The longing of the spirit can never be stilled. You who lights up, in shining serenity within a wheel. O most honored greening force, you who roots in the sun. You are a terror to the unlawful foolishness of the world. Reason is the root through which the resonant word flourishes. Glance at the sun, see the moon and the stars, gaze at the beauty of the earth's greenings. Now think. When the strength of divine justice evaporates, a female warrior struggles with injustice so that it may be defeated. The word is living, being, spirit, all verdant greening, all creativity. This word manifests itself in every creature. God bound the world with 4 elements, inseparable from one another, as the world could not subsist if one were separated. For eternity is called the Father, the Word is called the Son, and the breath that binds both of them together is called the Holy Spirit. I so loved the nobility of your character, your wisdom, your chastity, your spirit, and indeed every aspect of your life that many people have said to me, "What are you doing?" We cannot live in a world interpreted for us by others. An interpreted world is not a hope. Part of the terror is to take back our listening, to use our own voice, to see our own light. Dare to declare who you are. It is not far from the shores of silence to the boundaries of speech. The path is not long, but the way is deep. You must not only walk there, you must be prepared to leap. For Hildegard, the human soul is symphonic. Music is part of the profound nature of the spirit, by which a human being can recall the heavenly harmony and divine sweetness and praise by which with the angels Adam was. But when the sun drops closer to the earth, the cold of the earth runs to it from the water and causes all green things to dry up. And because the sun has dropped closer to the earth, the days are short, and it is winter. I am the fiery life of the essence of God. I am the flame above the beauty in the fields. I shine in the waters. I burn in the sun, the moon, and the stars. And with the airy wind, I quicken all things vitally by an unseen, all-sustaining life. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Adventure is not outside man, it is within. Poor fellow, I think he is in love with you. What loneliness is more lonely than distrust? It is never too late to be what you might have been. It is always fatal to have music or poetry interrupted. Our deeds determine us, as much as we determine our deeds. Life seems to go on without effort when I am filled with music. Only in the agony of parting do we look into the depths of love. I am not imposed upon by fine words. I can see what actions mean. People are almost always better than their neighbors think they are. What do we live for, if it is not to make life less difficult for each other? And of course men know best about everything, except what women know better. It is a narrow mind which cannot look at a subject from various points of view. But what we call our despair is often only the painful eagerness of unfed hope. Animals are such agreeable friends they ask no questions, they pass no criticisms. It will never rain roses. When we want to have more roses, we must plant more roses. Keep true, never be ashamed of doing right. Decide what you think is right and stick to it. Selfish, a judgment readily passed by those who have never tested their own power of sacrifice. Blessed is the man who, having nothing to say, abstains from giving us wordy evidence of the fact. No evil dooms us hopelessly except the evil we love and desire to continue in, and make no effort to escape from. It seems to me we can never give up longing and wishing while we are still alive. There are certain things we feel to be beautiful and good, and we must hunger for them. If we had a keen vision and feeling of all ordinary human life, it would be like hearing the grass grow and the squirrel's heart beat, and we should die of that roar which lies on the other side of silence. For the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been, is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. I like not only to be loved, but also to be told that I am loved. I am not sure that you are of the same mind, but the realm of silence is large enough beyond the grave. This is the world of light and speech, and I shall take leave to tell you that you are very dear. What greater thing is there for two human souls than to feel that they are joined for life, to strengthen each other in all labor, to rest on each other in all sorrow, to minister to each other in all pain, to be one with each other in silent, unspeakable memories at the moment of the last parting? We mortals, men and women, devour many a disappointment between breakfast and dinner time, keep back the tears and look a little pale about the lips, and in answer to inquiries say, "Oh, nothing." Pride helps, and pride is not a bad thing when it only urges us to hide our hurts, not to hurt others. I am not aware of it, and to me it is one of the most odious things in a girl's life, that there must always be some supposition of falling in love coming between her and any man who is kind to her. I have no ground for the nonsensical vanity of fancying everybody who comes near me is in love with me. But the effect of her being on those around her was incalculably diffusive, for the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been, is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life, and rest in unvisited tombs. We could never have loved the earth so well if we had had no childhood in it, if it were not the earth where the same flowers come up again every spring that we used to gather with our tiny fingers as we sat lisping to ourselves on the grass, the same hips and haws on the autumn hedgerows, the same redbreasts that we used to call God's birds, because they did no harm to the precious crops. What novelty is worth that sweet monotony where everything is known and loved because it is known? Is not this a true autumn day? Just the still melancholy that I love that makes life and nature harmonize. The birds are consulting about their migrations, the trees are putting on the hectic or the pallid hues of decay, and begin to strew the ground, that one's very footsteps may not disturb the repose of earth and air, while they give us a scent that is a perfect anodyne to the restless spirit. Delicious autumn! My very soul is wedded to it, and if I were a bird, I would fly about the earth seeking the successive autumns. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Without a struggle, there can be no progress. Once you learn to read, you will be forever free. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? Slaves are generally expected to sing as well as to work. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. I would unite with anybody to do right, and with nobody to do wrong. The white man's happiness cannot be purchased by the black man's misery. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. A gentleman will not insult me, and no man not a gentleman can insult me. I prayed for freedom for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. People might not get all they work for in this world, but they must certainly work for all they get. To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the rights of the hearer as well as those of the speaker. No man can put a chain about the ankle of his fellow man, without at last finding the other end fastened about his own neck. A man is worked upon by what he works on. He may carve out his circumstances, but his circumstances will carve him out as well. It is not light that we need, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. I prefer to be true to myself, even at the hazard of incurring the ridicule of others, rather than to be false, and to incur my own abhorrence. Slaves sing most when they are most unhappy. The songs of the slave represent the sorrows of his heart, and he is relieved by them, only as an aching heart is relieved by its tears. Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. The American people have this to learn, that where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither person nor property is safe. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them, and these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows, or with both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both. But it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. The marriage institution cannot exist among slaves, and 1/6 of the population of democratic America is denied its privileges by the law of the land. What is to be thought of a nation boasting of its liberty, boasting of its humanity, boasting of its Christianity, boasting of its love of justice and purity, and yet having within its own borders 3 millions of persons denied by law the right of marriage? If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. I have observed this in my experience of slavery, that whenever my condition was improved, instead of its increasing my contentment, it only increased my desire to be free, and set me to thinking of plans to gain my freedom. I have found that, to make a contented slave, it is necessary to make a thoughtless one. It is necessary to darken his moral and mental vision, and as far as possible, to annihilate the power of reason. He must be able to detect no inconsistencies in slavery. He must be made to feel that slavery is right, and he can be brought to that only when he ceased to be a man. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip the shoots of arbitrary power in the bud is the only maxim which can ever preserve the liberties of any people. The will of the people is the source, and the happiness of the people, the end of all legitimate government upon earth. Simplicity is the final achievement. I tell my piano the things I used to tell you. Even in winter, it shall be green in my heart. Put all your soul into it, play the way you feel. Play Mozart in memory of me, and I will hear you. Nothing is more odious than music without hidden meaning. Nothing is more beautiful than a guitar, except possibly two. Time is the best of critics, and patience the best of teachers. Sometimes I can only groan and suffer and pour out my despair at the piano. A long time ago, I decided that my universe will be the soul and heart of man. Every difficulty slurred over will be a ghost to disturb your repose later on. Simplicity is the highest goal, achievable when you have overcome all difficulties. I wish I could throw off the thoughts which poison my happiness, but I take a kind of pleasure in indulging them. Concerts are never real music. You have to give up the idea of hearing in them all the most beautiful things of art. Bach is an astronomer discovering the most marvelous stars. Beethoven challenges the universe. I only try to express the soul and the heart of man. Oh, how miserable it is to have no one to share your sorrows and joys, and when your heart is heavy, to have no soul to whom you can pour out your woes. Man is never always happy, and very often only a brief period of happiness is granted him in this world. So why escape from this dream which cannot last long? Simplicity is the final achievement. After one has played a vast quantity of notes and more notes, it is simplicity that emerges as the crowning reward of art. It is dreadful when something weighs on your mind, not to have a soul to unburden yourself to. You know what I mean. I tell my piano the things I used to tell you. I am not fitted to give concerts. The audience intimidates me. I feel choked by its breath, paralyzed by its curious glances, struck dumb by all those strange faces. Bach is like an astronomer who, with the help of ciphers, finds the most wonderful stars. Beethoven embraced the universe with the power of his spirit. I do not climb so high. A long time ago I decided that my universe will be the soul and heart of man. The last thing is simplicity. After having gone through all the difficulties, having played an endless number of notes, it is simplicity that matters with all its charm. It is the final seal on art. Anyone who strives for this to begin with will be disappointed. You cannot begin at the end. One needs only to study a certain positioning of the hand in relation to the keys to obtain with ease the most beautiful sounds, to know how to play long notes and short notes, and to achieve certain unlimited dexterity. A well-formed technique, it seems to me, can control and vary a beautiful sound quality. We fell silent and all joking ceased. We gazed mutely into each other's eyes, and an intense longing for the fullest avowal of the truth forced us to a confession, requiring no words whatever, or the incommensurable misfortune that weighed upon us. With tears and sobs, we sealed a vow to belong to each other alone. I am gay on the outside, especially among my own folk. I count Poles my own. But inside something gnaws at me. Some presentiment, anxiety, dreams, or sleeplessness, melancholy, indifference, desire for life, and the next instant desire for death. Some kind of sweet peace, some kind of numbness, absent-mindedness. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Simplicity is the final achievement. I tell my piano the things I used to tell you. Even in winter, it shall be green in my heart. Put all your soul into it, play the way you feel. Play Mozart in memory of me, and I will hear you. Nothing is more odious than music without hidden meaning. Nothing is more beautiful than a guitar, except possibly two. Time is the best of critics, and patience the best of teachers. Sometimes I can only groan and suffer and pour out my despair at the piano. A long time ago, I decided that my universe will be the soul and heart of man. Every difficulty slurred over will be a ghost to disturb your repose later on. Simplicity is the highest goal, achievable when you have overcome all difficulties. I wish I could throw off the thoughts which poison my happiness, but I take a kind of pleasure in indulging them. Concerts are never real music. You have to give up the idea of hearing in them all the most beautiful things of art. Bach is an astronomer discovering the most marvelous stars. Beethoven challenges the universe. I only try to express the soul and the heart of man. Oh, how miserable it is to have no one to share your sorrows and joys, and when your heart is heavy, to have no soul to whom you can pour out your woes. Man is never always happy, and very often only a brief period of happiness is granted him in this world. So why escape from this dream which cannot last long? Simplicity is the final achievement. After one has played a vast quantity of notes and more notes, it is simplicity that emerges as the crowning reward of art. It is dreadful when something weighs on your mind, not to have a soul to unburden yourself to. You know what I mean. I tell my piano the things I used to tell you. I am not fitted to give concerts. The audience intimidates me. I feel choked by its breath, paralyzed by its curious glances, struck dumb by all those strange faces. Bach is like an astronomer who, with the help of ciphers, finds the most wonderful stars. Beethoven embraced the universe with the power of his spirit. I do not climb so high. A long time ago I decided that my universe will be the soul and heart of man. The last thing is simplicity. After having gone through all the difficulties, having played an endless number of notes, it is simplicity that matters with all its charm. It is the final seal on art. Anyone who strives for this to begin with will be disappointed. You cannot begin at the end. One needs only to study a certain positioning of the hand in relation to the keys to obtain with ease the most beautiful sounds, to know how to play long notes and short notes, and to achieve certain unlimited dexterity. A well-formed technique, it seems to me, can control and vary a beautiful sound quality. We fell silent and all joking ceased. We gazed mutely into each other's eyes, and an intense longing for the fullest avowal of the truth forced us to a confession, requiring no words whatever, or the incommensurable misfortune that weighed upon us. With tears and sobs, we sealed a vow to belong to each other alone. I am gay on the outside, especially among my own folk. I count Poles my own. But inside something gnaws at me. Some presentiment, anxiety, dreams, or sleeplessness, melancholy, indifference, desire for life, and the next instant desire for death. Some kind of sweet peace, some kind of numbness, absent-mindedness. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. Nip. Violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. Any book worth banning is a book worth reading. Today's science fiction is tomorrow's science fact. The easiest way to solve a problem is to deny it exists. The day you stop learning is the day you begin decaying. People think of education as something that they can finish. The true delight is in the finding out rather than in the knowing. It is well known that the friend of a conqueror is but the last victim. When stupidity is considered patriotism, it is unsafe to be intelligent. Life is a journey, but don't worry, you'll find a parking spot at the end. It has been my philosophy of life that difficulties vanish when faced boldly. People who think they know everything are a great annoyance to those of us who do. Science can amuse and fascinate us all, but it is engineering that changes the world. There seems to be a feeling that anything that is natural is good. Strychnine is natural. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Maybe happiness is this, not feeling like you should be elsewhere, doing something else, being someone else. So the universe is not quite as you thought it was. You'd better rearrange your beliefs then, because you certainly can't rearrange the universe. Self-education is, I firmly believe, the only kind of education there is. The only function of a school is to make self-education easier. Failing that, it does nothing. There are no nations. There is only humanity, and if we don't come to understand that right soon, there will be no nations because there will be no humanity. What is really amazing and frustrating is mankind's habit of refusing to see the obvious and inevitable until it is there, and then muttering about unforeseen catastrophes. There is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. I believe in evidence. I believe in observation, measurement, and reasoning, confirmed by independent observers. I'll believe anything, no matter how wild and ridiculous, if there is evidence for it. The wilder and more ridiculous something is, however, the firmer and more solid the evidence will have to be. Science is uncertain. Theories are subject to revision. Observations are open to a variety of interpretations, and scientists quarrel amongst themselves. This is disillusioning for those untrained in the scientific method, who thus turn to the rigid certainty of the Bible instead. There is something comfortable about a view that allows for no deviation, and that spares you the painful necessity of having to think. The soft bonds of love are indifferent to life and death. They hold through time so that yesterday's love is part of today's, and the confidence in tomorrow's love is also part of today's. And when one dies, the memory lives in the other and is warm and breathing. And when both die, I almost believe, rationalist though I am, that somewhere it remains, indestructible and eternal, enriching all of the universe by the mere fact that once it existed. Imagine the people who believe such things and who are not ashamed to ignore, totally, all the patient findings of thinking minds through all the centuries since the Bible was written. And it is these ignorant people, the most uneducated, the most unimaginative, the most unthinking among us, who would make themselves the guides and leaders of us all, who would force their feeble and childish beliefs on us, who would invade our schools and libraries and homes. I personally resent it bitterly. Duty is ours, results are God's. Whoever tells the best story wins. Try and fail, but don't fail to try. Individual liberty is individual power. Idleness is sweet, and its consequences are cruel. America is a friend of freedom everywhere, but a custodian only of our own. From the experience of the past, we derive instructive lessons for the future. The firmest security of peace is the preparation during peace of the defenses of war. To believe that everyone is honest is folly, but to believe that no one is honest is worse. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. No book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied, and so profoundly meditated. I cannot live without books. Honesty is the first chapter of the book Wisdom. History, in general, only informs us what bad government is. The Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence. The most valuable of all talents is that of never using two words when one will do. I'm a greater believer in luck, and I find the harder I work the more I have of it. Do you want to know who you are? Don't ask. Act. Action will delineate and define you. On matters of style, swim with the current. On matters of principle, stand like a rock. The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers. We in America do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. Our civil rights have no dependence on our religious opinions any more than our opinions in physics or geometry. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. Nothing gives one person so much advantage over another as to remain always cool and unruffled under all circumstances. I would rather be exposed to the inconveniences attending too much liberty than to those attending too small a degree of it. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Determine never to be idle. No person will have occasion to complain of the want of time who never loses any. It is wonderful how much may be done if we are always doing. The legitimate powers of government extend to such acts only as are injurious to others. It does me no injury for my neighbor to say there are 20 gods or no God. It neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity, under the name of funding, is but swindling futurity on a large scale. I had rather be shut up in a very modest cottage with my books, my family and a few old friends, dining on simple bacon, and letting the world roll on as it liked, than to occupy the most splendid post which any human power can give. We took the liberty to make some inquiries concerning the ground of their pretensions to make war upon nations who had done them no injury, and observed that we considered all mankind as our friends who had done us no wrong, nor had given us any provocation. And the day will come when the mystical generation of Jesus, by the Supreme Being as his Father in the womb of a virgin, will be classed with the fable of the generation of Minerva in the brain of Jupiter. But we may hope that the dawn of reason and freedom of thought in these United States will do away all this artificial scaffolding. I know no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional power. I have observed, indeed, generally, that while in Protestant countries the defections from the Platonic Christianity of the priests is to deism, in Catholic countries they are to atheism. Diderot, de Lembert, de Halbach, Condorcet are known to have been among the most virtuous of men. Their virtue, then, must have had some other foundation than the love of God. Vast accession of strength from their younger recruits, who having nothing in them of the feelings or principles of 76 now look to a single and splendid government of an aristocracy, founded on banking institutions, and moneyed in corporations under the guise and cloak of their favored branches of manufactures, commerce, and navigation, riding and ruling over the plundered plowmen and beggared yeomanry. The ambassador of Tripoli answered us that it was founded on the laws of their prophet, that it was written in their Koran, that all nations who should not have acknowledged their authority were sinners, that it was their right and duty to make war upon them wherever they could be found, and to make slaves of all they could take as prisoners, and that every Mussulman who should be slain in battle was sure to go to paradise. I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing, and as necessary in the political world as storms in the physical. Unsuccessful rebellions, indeed, generally establish the encroachments on the rights of the people which have produced them. An observation of this truth should render honest Republican governors so mild in their punishment of rebellions as not to discourage them too much. It is a medicine necessary for the sound health of government.